Hey, welcome, and this is Chris with Wizard Brain Trust. And I've got a client I need to work with on a cash flow crisis. So I thought it'd be a good idea because many of you have seen my videos where I talk about AI and the dangers of letting AI take over and using AI to make your final decision or to not do your own research. So I'm going to go over I just did an AI search for cash flow crisis, and they gave you a really good general outline. The problem is like for the first part, assess the situation, analyze cash flow, identify bottlenecks. That's a given, but those are just two of the first maybe 10 or 20 questions we would ask. And in the case of the client I'm working with right now, I would be looking at what led up to this, as far as describe this client to me. How long have you been with them? Is this something that happened with their cash flow and thus they're not paying you? Or was this a huge contract that came in and it was sort of a gift, but then it's easy on the front end and hard on the back end? The problem is AI doesn't know which questions to ask because each individual cash flow crisis is different, and we follow a pattern to solve it, but the pattern is different and you have to ask different questions and assess the situation differently. So adjust your business plan, again, it's a given. But you got to know the right questions to ask, and you got to know where to adjust. Like, I'm not going to adjust anything if it really is a client. Like with this specific client, he's in the service industry, and he didn't say what percentage of his receivables he lost to this one huge client, but let's just say it's 60%. Well, that's a major difference between a cash flow crisis, which has to do with somebody that lost 20% of their receivables. A couple clients aren't paying or whatever. But those systems and how you address the situation are different depending on whether it's just one huge client. We would talk about different things as far as how do you avoid this to ever happen again. And one of those solutions is you diversify. You don't allow any one client to take over to where they are 50 or 60% of your monthly receivables. So revise sales forecasts. Yes, that's one solution. But again, if you're cranking along and it's literally just a one-time cash flow crisis or something where we have to plan for it in the future, but it's the first time it's happened, those are two different situations. Accelerate your receivables. This is a given. If I work with somebody and they aren't invoicing promptly, then obviously that has to be addressed. But this whole system of accelerate receivables is different depending on what the person's situation is. I would never offer discounts for early payments unless you were in a huge cash flow crisis, because then you're discounting your profit and you're not taking as much in as you should. But yeah, if it's a major crisis, yeah, you're gonna do anything you can. Like if you've got 40% of the receivables left that you have to collect, yeah, I would be making calls to your best customers who you're on good terms with and say, hey, I've got a special program where I'm trying to get all my cash flow in this month, offering 3% if you pay in full, something like that. But with many of these, and with this particular client, I believe in most cases they do pay in full. They pay their monthly invoice in full. So that really isn't going to address most of the problem. Follow up, yeah, this is again where they don't give you enough information. My personal opinion is when it's a major cash flow crisis and it's one client, you got to start working with that client immediately and find out what's going on. Are you unhappy with us? Are you what is the problem with the cash flow with you? Why haven't you paid? And just get it all out in the open. And if you can't do this, then probably you don't have the correct relationship with that client, because anybody that I deal with, it's sort of just it's not black and white, but it's you just have to call up and say, hey, I haven't got your payment in, and I just wanted to find out, can I expect it today or tomorrow, or what's going on? And most people, if they're honest business people, they'll just tell you, hey, yeah, we're getting it in the mail tomorrow or whatever. And it may not be that major thing, but if they say, hey, we lost a huge government contract, and so we're going to have to pay you over the next 3 to 6 months, then you have your answer. Negotiate payables. Yeah, this is the only thing I would say here is be sure and call your suppliers and let them know. Don't just say, hey, I can't pay you this month, because there's nothing worse than hearing that, and also that's going to change your relationship with them. So it's real important, and obviously you're not going to do that with the electric company and your mortgage payment or whatever. You don't want to be doing that, so you got to prioritize those payments. Consider financing options. This is a huge consideration and something we spend an awful lot of time on. And again, AI does not address it, which is the first step is, philosophically, do they believe in financing? Do they believe in taking on debt? I've got many clients who are trying to bootstrap, and they aren't even interested in taking on any debt. Now, I don't recommend that. That's a very slow and hard way to grow your business. But these are some of the things you have to consider, but that AI is not going to address. Slash expenses, obviously, that's one of the first places we go after we understand the problem is, I always say, your business is your baby, and you feed your baby first. Your baby has to survive, and you have to grow. You have to allow them to grow. So anything that's luxury, anything that's frivolous, say you're eating out at the nicest restaurant with your wife or girlfriend, 5 times a week, that should stop. You should go to peanut butter and jelly for the 30 or 60 or 90 days it takes to dig out of the cash hole or cash flow crunch. So, and then obviously if you have mediocre employees that are marginal, this is the time you're going to lay them off, because basically it's survival, and you want to get back to where you're normal and paying your bills on time, and you do have normal cash flow. Selling non-essential assets, for some people this isn't even an option, but I've had businesses. I remember one business years ago when the 2008 recession hit. I had 3 luxury vehicles, an SRT8 Jeep, a really top of the line truck, and also a collector's edition ZR1 Corvette. Guess what got sold on the auction block? We sold it almost for half price for cash flow for one of my companies, because that's what you do. Your business has to survive, and that means sometimes you eat peanut butter and jelly, or you sell off that beautiful hobby or car or whatever that you own and that you love. You're going to make money again if you do the right thing. If you don't do the right thing, you may go out of business. So that's why it's so important to understand luxury items come and go. Cash flow is something that's so important to keep on top of. And you have to make some hard decisions, and peanut butter and jelly for the month is one of them. Raising capital, again, I would only address this if this is one of those times when we would do it, but understand raising capital usually takes 30 to 90 days, and maybe even more. So it's not a quick term, short-term fix or a quick fix. Cash flow management tools, yes. But again, depending on, once we analyze the P&Ls, like in this case, I'm going to recommend, because we're at that point anyway where we have to do cash flow projections, 13 weeks, 6 months, and 1 year, so that we know the trends, and so that we are already in cash, at least 6 months worth of cash. In other words, if your expenses are 10 grand a month, that's $120,000 a year that you need saved up. You need in a cash money market account or something that is easily accessible. And if you don't believe in that, then again, I would tell you, you're not real committed to saving your business, because that's really, to me, that's one of the top priorities, is to always be working to have a cash cushion of at least 6 months to a year. And some people say, well, that's way conservative and stuff, but then if you want the other alternative, then we have to work the banks and the credit card companies and stuff to get up to a cash reserve or a cash credit line where you can dip into it at any time and not have the bank or the credit card company shut you down. And that's a totally different, that's a subject on its own. So prepare for future crisis. Again, that's what we just talked about. And the last one is very good, but again, depending on the individual, this is what because I'm a real estate broker too, we immediately, once we are in good cash flow and you are in a profit margin where you can start to channel off and diversify your income, one of the first things is If you don't own your own building, you should, or if you don't own your own house, that's a given. That's step one. So diversifying income streams so that you don't have this severe cash crunch happen again. Cash flow problems happen in any business. Every business, I don't know very few businesses that are on a constant, we take in 14,000 a month and it's just a given. Almost every business is up and down. So it's more that you have to plan for it and you have to be ready for it. And the first time is always kind of the hardest, but we get you through it. And the next video I'm going to do is specifically for one of my clients, and I'll talk about that, the specifics. So we'll see you next video.